Hello, everyone. We are back with Spiritual Freak Show on Journey Through the Tarot, and I'm here with Melody, and we're talking about the Fool card. So, in case you guys missed it, we started this practice here together. We're going to be doing these episodes monthly, and we did an intro episode. If you want to learn more and you missed it, you can listen to the last episode. But today we're going to be talking all about the Fool card. So I'm really excited. And Melody, I'll just have you take it away. You're going to give us some information about the card.
Yeah, sounds good. Hello, everyone. We're going to be talking about the Fool today. Um, Here's the Fool if you need a picture. Um, so the Fool is the very first card in the major arcana. Uh, I've been calling it Arcana now for about 25 years, but I just checked and the
Oh,
correct
so I've been saying it wrong too.
the correct way to say it is Arcana.
Okay. Yay.
And what arcana means is secrets, and that is which is unseen, and it just means mysteries. So the major arcana, uh, as we talked about in the last episode, it signifies pictorially the journey through life. Um, and the Fool is the very first. So, what the Fool represents is a new, embarking on a new journey. Like the Fool is all of us. It is, it, it's like a new soul. Like some of us believe, um, that we chose to come here. So the Fool is like you're in the ethers and you're like, you know what? I'm going to go down there and I'm going to do it. And um, they're like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to be optimistic about it and just kind of take this leap of faith. And that is the energy of the Fool. So when the Fool comes up in a reading, it often signifies like a new beginning or someone who is about to venture on a new path or a new activity, something where that person is holding a lot of optimism, a lot of open-mindedness, um, and also just that sense of innocence. Like it often comes up in a reading when someone is starting a new project and they just have that sense of optimism, that exciting optimism, like when you're about to like learn something new, like start school again. um, the Fool often comes up.
Yeah, it's like a fresh energy. And this is kind of what we're all experiencing right now, going through this journey through the tarot, is we're starting at the beginning. So some people listening are fully aware of what the cards all symbolize, but we're going to be kind of breaking it down. But this is us. We're just waiting to understand new things. But I also think it is that eagerness, like to move forward. So like you say, that kind of like getting back to school kind of energy. We're ready and we're eager and willing to learn more and explore more.
Totally. Yeah. Um, and it's really like the energy that I'm really wanting to convey about the card. It's very optimistic. Like I think we can always like we can all relate to that feeling, like when we want to start a new project. Like um, if we're a musician and we're getting a band together and like we're just having all these dreams about what it could be, like I could be famous, or like the band could get along like this. Like it's that feeling of just enthusiasm and excitement around whatever it is we are about to do. And in the journey of life, it symbolizes that this is the feeling that we had before we came to this planet. So connecting to the energy of this card is like connecting to our inner child, like our young self, like who we were at the very beginning, just all of that potential and freshness, and like joy, really. Just that feeling that I think that we can all tap into at some point in our childhood, like if like maybe when we were playing with like Care Bears, or like staring at a stream, or just that childlike awe.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that can be like something we can recreate and tap into. But like you're saying, when the cards all have their meanings, but then they also have their meanings within the context of the reading. So it
Mhm.
really depends on, the questions you're asking when this is going to pop up too.
Totally. Yeah. um and some examples around like what it would look like in a reading, um like it will often come up when you are starting something new. Like it'll come up in a new relationship, or a new job if you're feeling optimistic about it, um, or making, some sort of major change in your life, like anything that connects you to. And actually, this card can also come up for someone as like a part of their healing journey. Like it can show up when you or someone you're reading for is able to tap into that like free spiritedness again, like they're feeling that sense of freedom, once again, that that we're kind of all looking for.
Yeah. And I think it's very easy for us to stray farther and farther away from this energy as we get older. So I think
Yeah.
it's important that we take on new ideas and new projects and do things like just for joy and fun, because a lot of people forget that that is also part of life too.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And Grace and I were talking beforehand, about like activities that can help us reconnect to our innocent selves, and just that feeling of freedom, really like inner child work. Um, I had mentioned to Grace in the training I'm in, my teacher mentioned that yoga is the practice of returning to your innocence. And that really clicked with me, because that is why we go on these healing journeys, whatever that means for us individually. It's why we practice yoga. It's why we go see a therapist. It's why we journal. um, we are wanting to have that sense of freedom and really connect to what feels like who we truly are. And who we truly are is that pure joy and enthusiasm that um, that preceded our life on this earthly realm, is what I feel. That um, who we truly are is that essence that was like let's go do this. It's gonna be
Yeah,
great.
it's gonna be great. I forget about all the things that happen when you're in a human body, though. Yeah, I think it's really interesting to think about it from that perspective too. And like the idea, some people call it the ascension journey of like, we're going from our earth experience to understanding what it's like and then going on to whatever happens after we die. But I think the cards can also reflect that too. Eventually we want to get to that high priestess, that, the king, the queen. We're gonna go through all that, but it's like each thing kind of symbolizes, I think, uh a higher version of ourself. I think sometimes it's hard to categorize things as high and low because that I think doesn't always lend the right perspective.
Right.
But it's like that self where we don't have all of our baggage and things that hold us back from creating and doing the things we want to do.
Yeah, from our creative self, for sure.
So yeah, let's break down the card a little more. Do you want to share with
Huh.
us about some of the symbols on here? So for those who are listening, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the card, but you can always pull it up or you can watch us on YouTube.
Yes. So, yeah, if you have your cards with you, pull out your Fool.
Number zero, the
Yeah.
beginning. The beginning before the beginning. It was what I always think about with zero
Mhm.
too. It's like
Totally.
it's that infinity, there's nothing, there's also everything, endless possibility, which I think the fool is really that. I forgot what you said, but that limitless feeling.
Yeah, totally. It's everything and nothing. Like, um, yeah, zero definitely represents that. It's nothing and everything. I mean, kind of like, the universe. Like, it's all everything, but it's all energy. Is it nothing? Yeah. Anyway.
I remember learning about like energy in like elementary school and like they talk about the particles and the atoms and stuff and like freaking out about like how the desk they were like this is made of atoms too and I was like it's not real.
Yeah, it's not real.
But it isn't real, but it is of course because we perceive it that way, but it's it's sometimes hard to think about that when you're a child or
Yeah,
ever when you're an adult too.
totally. It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Science is mind blowing. Okay, so talking about the symbology of the literal card. So he's about to walk off this cliff here.
Uh-oh.
Uh-uh. Um, so the cliff, it represents, he's on the brink of something new. Like literally, he's about to step into the unknown. They both look pretty confident, so I'm sure that there's something there, but maybe that something is actually nothing because it's all made of atoms. Anyway. Okay. Um, and so then there is the little dog over here, the cute little dog. Um, Often shown by his feet in most representations of this card. So the dog symbolizes loyalty and protection, um, and also even like a little push towards caution. So in some ways, the dog is kind of like his spirit guide in a way. Like the dog is letting him, as dogs do, their presence. The dog is like, hey, you're fine, it's cool. um and the dog is also kind of like,
Maybe don't walk off that cliff.
well, actually the dog, well, maybe sometimes, yes, absolutely, our
Like,
spirit
hey, let's
guides are
go.
saying stuff like that. But the dog is just representing like, hey, it's gonna be okay, we got this. This might be a little scary, but I'm here to lighten things up, we can do it. And so the bag that he's carrying, that's over his shoulder there, um, the bag signifies untapped knowledge and tools. Um, so it's a representation of he's gonna need tools for this journey. Um, he's he's gonna need something for this journey.
Yeah,
He may not know how to use them yet, but they're available. Um, they're there. So that's what the bag represents.
that's a secret he'll save for later.
Yeah. Um, a little snack pack. Uh, the white rose that he's holding. So the white rose, it's another representation of his innocence. Um, and just, his pure mind, his open mind, and an open heart. The rose often correlates with the heart and with love. Um, so a white rose in this case indicates like an open heart. The sun shining above him here. Uh, this represents guidance. It represents the guidance that he may need is there for him if he opens himself up to that. So it's kind of like the shining star, our guiding star above us, that if we're open to receive, we will receive the guidance for this journey.
Hmm.
So that's basically all of the literal descriptions of what's
What
going
about his
on.
outfit?
Well, his outfit is clearly fabulous. Definitely dressed for fall weather, so I love that.
Yeah, layers.
Yes, he's smart by wearing layers.
But it's like he's like the page. He's like the boy basically. This is the innocent, as we said.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point. He's dressed
you
as
know,
as a page. Yeah. Yeah.
and then he's got his boots.
Yeah. His boots are made for walking. Um, but yeah, I like that you brought that up, that he does look like the page in the minor arcana. Um, and that signifies more of like a person starting something new, like a person beginning a new journey.
Yeah. Yeah, and
The-
I think like with the textiles too, it's like these are kind of the fancy clothes. So these are kind of like a celebration party more than the solid color is more that ceremony. So I think this also like represents kind of that ex excitement and celebration and just like like you said, he has all the things that he needs, but he's also like just going with the flow, like he's just coming from that celebration and just continuing that energy rather than that more intense planning, which I think is more that logical part of ourselves, and this is more that like you said, the enthusiasm, just going on the pure like divine, like, oh, I'm just following that guidance like the sun, I'm just going into this new element or era of myself, but I don't have to necessarily, he doesn't have to think really too much about what he's doing. I think it's more just going. So
Mhm.
I think a lot of that is what I feel like it's like we hold ourselves back from doing that because we overanalyze
Yeah.
about
Def-
like what, like what's gonna happen with this rather than just like this is new, let me see what's gonna happen or
yeah.
let
Just jump in.
let it be.
Yeah, I like that you brought up the colors. Um,
Yeah, that's something that's very interesting to me. Just, I think looking at any cards, oracle cards or tarot, like looking at the colors, like also that yellow color, like what that symbolizes for us. Like I always think yellow, like solar plexus,
totally.
and that's like that also inner self, inner sun, like sense of self. So I always think of that too when I see the yellow in the cards. But all those things can have personal meaning too,
Mhm.
with the reader. Like maybe they see a color and it means something different for them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like that you brought up the solar plexus with the fool because also he's leading with his solar plexus, you
Oh
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and that's just open wide, like your heart's open, your that pose too.
yeah. So he definitely feels empowered to embark on this journey. But
Yeah,
yeah,
he's not scared.
yeah, he's not scared. Um, but yeah, I think what you were saying, a very important part about tarot, I feel, is connecting to what the picture brings up for us personally. Um, like when I look at this card, what sticks out to me mostly is the colors. And for me, what that feels like is like something about yellow. It it also opens my mind.
Yeah.
Like the color yellow, it helps me connect to like my intellect somehow, like in a positive way. Um, and astrologically, the Fool does correlate with air signs, specifically. Yeah.
I'm an air
Right?
sign.
Right?
I'm an air sign. Triple air sign.
You're triple air?
Well, I'm Gemini sun, Gemini moon, Libra rising.
You are? Oh,
Yeah, isn't that
wow, I didn't know
unfortunate? I don't have
that.
any grounded.
Oh, it's not
I
unfortunate.
have my Venus is in Taurus and that's it. That's my
Oh,
only Earth.
wow. That
Other
is
than the outer planets, which is more the generational. But yeah, air signs, I think that would make sense to me with this card too.
yeah.
Like of less planning and just going with that flow.
Mhm. Just doing it. Also, this card correlates mostly with Aquarius.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Not not me, but we still love. We still
Well,
love it. I love an Aquarius.
right. And we're about to go into where Pluto is about to go direct in Aquarius.
Yeah.
And according to all of the lovely astrologers I know, well, mainly Tanae from Lupine Hollow, um, it's it's going to be a positive time. Um, the Pluto going direct in Aquarius is going to be a time of like people um, having innovative ideas and like acting on those innovative ideas um, and using logic. So less of the Capricorn retrograde that we've been in, which has held us in unpleasant structures. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, and I that makes sense to me that Aquarius would be connected with this card because it is a lot of that defining new realities, and that will be exciting for us to see as a collective, human beings right now to see what that looks like on a grand scale because it's happening to everyone. But like in terms of the card, I think that is interesting to think about, like creating, like manifesting basically, but yet you're creating something out of nothing. It's an idea and then it can become something. So
uh,
less like step one, step two, step three, step four. It's just like I'm stepping off the cliff. I'm just going.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Fool, I like that you said that. I think the Fool can represent like the energy behind manifestation, and that makes sense in the journey too. I won't in the journey through the tarot, the Fool's journey, because the next card after the Fool is the Magician, and the Magician is about manifestation.
Mm.
Yeah, so that was insightful. Um, and I like putting it
Nice.
out. Yeah, you're so insightful, great.
Hell yeah. Sick. So I'm going for
But yeah, that's a good, I think I love that way of describing the Fool too. Like it's that energy that you have before manifestation, because we do need to cultivate that intention and positivity in order for the universe to collaborate with us, like the universe and energy and really enjoys enthusiasm and positivity. And once they start like picking up on that, it's like the universe is like, okay, let's collaborate.
Yeah, I
But
think
yeah,
it's so much like the energy of play too, like which I think it's very much that full energy too of like I am just having fun and just doing this for the experience of it too. And I think the universe likes when we are open to how things could happen. We don't need the it to happen the way that we want it to or say it's going to.
yeah, totally. Yeah, that's another good point. Like the Fool is about not clinging too tightly to the result. Like, I mean, I think a lot of us who, you know, who are into spirituality and like we have experienced that when we cling too tightly to something that we're wanting to create, it doesn't really help the process. But
Yeah.
when we're able to like let go and keep that momentum and keep the enthusiasm and just be open to receiving, even though it might not look exactly how we were like wanting it to look, that creative like the creative force of manifestation can do its thing. If that
Yeah, we're not standing so much in the way of it if we just are open to however that experience comes in.
Mhm.
Which
Yeah.
is that's literally the hardest part. Is
Yeah.
like just allowing things to happen and not it's like we can't micromanage ourselves or the universe. We have to just like let it happen. But there's a fine line to that.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. I mean, we do have to
Because you
put
don't want to just wait around forever. You got to
right,
do
exactly.
something. You
Yeah.
have to step off the cliff and actually do. You can't just sit around.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I think what you're saying also kind of leads into dun, 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 talking about the reversed position of the Fool. Um, and
The dramatic sound effects are like, he's upside down.
yeah, yeah. I am hoping in this series that we're doing together, I am hoping to relieve some of the anxiety around reverse cards. Something that Grace and I were talking about beforehand is, you know, it it kind of can't all be upright because in order to read all the aspects of life, like tarot is the mirror of life. In order to read it and see it, you have to have you know, um, and it's not, you know, bad. It's just useful, and I think that is why we use tarot, because it's useful and it's showing us um what isn't yet seen consciously.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
too, like before you get too into it, I think like when we are in that fear, when we feel we see a card or we get a reading or something, we already know that shit. We already know that about ourselves. Like, oh, that's the problem. That's the issue. I'm the problem. I'm the issue. Whatever it is that's like having us in that stuck feeling. Like, we
Mhm.
already know that we're in that. So the card is just telling us the truth. Like, that's why we use the cards because they're not biased to what we need, what we want to hear. It's okay, this is what's happening, and I'm giving you information about that. So. It's not,
Yeah.
like you said, it's not something to be scared of. It's just like, that's just life. We have to like be open to, if we want to actually change, we have to be open to how that can happen and what we need to do in order for that to happen. And sometimes that's not things that we like doing, or, you know, gotta
Mhm.
fucking own up to your shit sometimes.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Tarot is a tool of insight.
They're not always nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
But guides are spirits like that too, and it's just like humans. Like, sometimes we gotta hear it in a way that is just wakes us up a little bit. We're like, okay, I really gotta like, yeah, get my shit together type vibe.
yeah, totally. So, um, just some examples about like what it means if the Fool comes up reversed in your own personal reading or a reading for someone else. Um, one of the meanings, like we were talking about before, the inner, so the energy of the Fool upright is just that enthusiasm, that optimism, like that precursor energy to manifestation. So when it's reversed, it can just mean it can just be like a guiding light telling you, like, hey, it's looking like you're wanting to do, it's looking like you're wanting to create some stuff, but you've got some blocks. Like you're blocking your own creative energy, like your you're blocking your joy, or even like you're not like tapping into that aspect of play that will help you move forward. Um, so when it comes up reversed, and we can each kind of feel this out, like it's a very personal, like tarot readings are a very personal experience. So they do have a relationship with the cards around them. Um, so depending on what's going on in your life or what's going on in your client's life, it's relating to that particular situation. So um, as you're learning tarot more and more, that will become just more of a natural instinct and insight for that you will have during readings. Um, but yeah, one big example of the Fool coming up in reverse will be a block to that uh, to that enthusiasm, or just the ability to move forward. Um, it can The Fool in reverse can also mean something a little more like simplistic, like like let's say, for example, if you're asking about someone in your life that you just met or something, the Fool usually what will happen is cards will come up representing that person. Like usually a court card, like a king of cups or a king of wands or queen of cups, or, for an example, those cards usually come up when it's about an individual. And if those cards are paired with like a fool in reverse, it can mean something like they're currently behaving recklessly, or maybe in a place where they're not um, thinking through their decisions. It can literally kind of mean that someone is, behaving foolishly. So it can have a literal meaning like that. And as you connect to your own intuition, um, that meaning will reveal itself.
Yeah. And something you were saying earlier too, like, I think that can apply, like, the fool in reverse is like sometimes we can get in over our head and we're going too quickly into a new thing, or that can be a relationship or an experience or whatever. Or, we could be, yeah, getting over our head and, tipping off that cliff rather than, briskly walking it down. So I think, sometimes when we are, too much on our plate and we're over enthusiastic, then I think sometimes that could show up too.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, in over
You
our
said that earlier
I said that
before. I was just
before we started.
reiterating. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so insightful.
Well, I embellished a little. I added some stuff, but yeah, it's like, we don't want to be. We want to be enthusiastic and just not be bogged down by the ideas of what's going to happen next, but we also don't want to just like be not looking at the future at all. So,
Yeah,
you know,
that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, in over your head. I like that. That's a good one.
I'm drowning.
We should pick out a song for.
I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, I wish we could make a playlist or something.
Yeah,
Comment on
maybe
YouTube
we'll
if
do
we should
that.
make a full playlist, you guys. Let us know.
Oh,
We'll
a full
comment.
playlist.
Like if we, well, I
Oh,
don't know if
okay.
we,
Yes, a
well,
full
or we
playlist.
could um do one for the major arcana and just add a song for each card. That could be fun. Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah. Yeah, we're kind of thinking- yeah, let us know. Let us know. And if you have any suggestions,
Yeah, or
that would be good
questions
too.
about the card or
Yeah.
anything too. Comment or reach out on Instagram. Anything else about the card you want to share?
Um, let's see. Well, I mean, I think maybe it would be a good time to talk about like how, okay, so learning tarot, I've found uh the the most I'm trying to think of a good word for it. Like the most insightful way, or like the most soulful way to learn tarot. I feel like there's like a cooler word for that. I mean, the word soul is a cool word, but anyway, the most like,
Successful.
what is it?
Successful?
Successful. Yeah, successful is a good one. Okay, let's just say successful. The most successful way that I've found to learn tarot is to really like commune with each card. So we're going to give you some exercises for you to like really commune to this card so that your energy gets into this card. And I'm not a superstitious person, but one thing that I really do feel is important uh, with with us and our tarot deck is to really physically like connect with our deck. I mean, you know, um, us in the spiritual and healing arts, touch is is huge. I mean, the energy, um, like when I'm working on someone, I like to tap into certain energies and visualize, and it has a huge impact. And I feel when we do that, when we're able to energetically connect to our tarot deck and like each card, it really helps to increase um, our ability to have intuition during a reading. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I don't always do this, but sometimes if I'm doing a reading for someone that I've never met, sometimes I'll have them like send me a picture of them too, so I can also like imagine them. But I think it's also like the sensation too of getting your energy on the cards. And I think also if you're going to be using your cards, I just had this thought to
Mm-hmm.
share. Like if you're going to be using your cards for readings for other people and stuff too, I think it's good to cleanse and clear your cards. So however you like to do that. Will do incense, or like I like bells and chimes to clear energy, or like I always knock on the cards, like knocking sound,
Mm-hmm.
it clears energy, because you want to make sure this is the message. And of course that's part of our intention in the beginning of starting a reading. Okay, this is the message for Melody, this is the message for the collective people listening, this is the message for myself, like setting that intention so that we're clear on what we're communicating and receiving around. So I think it's also nice to have some kind of practice of like, yeah, um I also have a friend that inspired me to do this, and I think it can be sometimes cool. Um, is they would put cards on their altar too. So I have an altar in my office where I like candles and stuff. But this could also be on your bedside table, but like putting the full card out, and that's something that you can kind of like look at throughout the month. But yeah, we'll give you our little exercise, but that I think could be a bonus fun thing is sitting with the card and just like holding it, looking at it, and then maybe if you want, putting it on display throughout the month before our next episode. So you can really like, now that we have talked about the meaning of the card, establish your own connection, like you said. And it's also about the context of the reading. So, throughout this series, we'll get more into that, but we kind of have to give you the cards first to understand the context. But I think right now we can really just focus on like embodying this energy, and this is something that we're all tapping into. So I think that will
Mm-hmm.
be interesting also in reflection to just like everything that is happening in the world around us too, and thinking about, okay, how can I be that upright, enthusiastic, like anything is possible, looking more into that energy rather than the opposite of like the fear of the blocks, like holding us back from experiencing something different and seeing that there are possibilities. And I just think it'll be interesting to see, because there's just a lot happening, and we're recording this too right before the election in the US, so it should be interesting. But just like in general, we're in Halloween season. We're gonna be in Samhain's a couple days from now, Halloween, Dios de la Muertes. So we have a lot of that connection to the other side right now. So I think we can use that energy to also connect into deepening this relationship with this tool, which is one way that we can connect with the other side or spirit or whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love that we started this series around this time. This is my favorite time of year.
Me
Um,
too. this
Yeah,
into the new year. It's like the best little part of the year, I think.
it is. It's so good. Like I feel like first the veil starts to thin and yeah, I just feel that connectedness to all type feeling. So I love that we're starting this series that has a lot to do with connecting to our intuition and guidance, um, because, as you said, the veil is already thin. So they're like right there, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're fall going into winter in the US. So, because I know we got some Australian listeners. Shout out to you guys. But like it is that introverted inner time, the fall and the winter. So I think that's a great time to be able to deepen your ability to it's not so much about deepening your ability to connect because we already can. It's more about deciphering what that is and how you do it and how that works. And then in relation to the cards, what is, yeah, the most effective way for you to receive the messages. But I think with this series, it's like I just want to encourage people to not be the fool in reverse and get in over your head and be like, I have to know everything about everything. That's why this is going to take a while. So this is us too. We're in the beginning and we're just seeing what's happening, where the endless possibility. It's not like you have to understand it all. And I think it's like learning a language or something. It is literally, but like, you know, it takes a while. Like, I mean, it takes a really long time to be able to communicate in a different language if you've never spoken it before. So we're like learning a word basically at a time. And then eventually we could maybe say a simple sentence, but it's also the intuition that we're opening it up. That's going to make it so much easier because there's also that information that's coming in that's going to help you understand why this card's coming up and all that kind of deciphering stuff with what the reading is beyond just the card. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I really like the way that you said that. It is like learning a new language, and we are going to go very slow because
Yeah.
it's more fun that way too. It's more creative that way. There's like a deeper connection that way, you know. It's it's better to not rush through.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like a lot of people who listen to this podcast are also opening up to mediumship and intuitive practices. So I think it's also helpful and fun if you want to ask your guides, your spirit team, if they want to help you understand the messages further, because they can also help you learn anything, but especially something like this, there are probably lots of people out there who want to help you understand this. So it's kind of a fun exercise to invite that energy, of course, if you want to, in.
Yeah, I love that idea of like asking like, "Hey, um I'm open to receiving insight about the Fool and the Tarot um, journey, and just like
I'm
watching.
gonna try it in my dream
Yeah, I'm
tonight.
gonna try it too, and just like noticing how that comes to you. I do actually like to do that with things sometimes. Like I'm like, I'd like some more insight on this, and then I'll just kind of, let it go, and
And
then
you'd be surprised how it comes in. And
yeah,
sometimes it's so literal. Like I'll like be like scrolling on YouTube trying to watch like my Trisha Paytas podcast. It'll be like a YouTube documentary about like something that I asked about. I'm like, okay, here it is. Like I know the guys in the computer are probably listening to my thoughts too, but I choose to believe that it is my spirit guys helping me find the videos.
yeah, I've wondered that too about Google. I'm like, does it read my mind? No.
Possibly. TikTok might.
Yeah, I know.
Their
TikTok's
algorithm is great.
wild. Yeah. But no, actually,
Awesome.
I did that the other day. I was like, I lost like all my business cards. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to be open to finding them, but not stress about it because I totally was stressing about it. And I was like, I'm just going to release it. And you know what? I'm totally open to finding my business cards. And I found them in the most random place. I would have never, ever found them. It was
I
like
love
this
that when that kind of
crumpled
stuff happens.
brown paper bag, like stuffed back in this like junk closet. Um,
The perfect place for them to be.
I'm revealing how organized I am. But yeah, anyway, I would love to encourage y'all to do that to see uh, if that feels fun for you because it is fun to see how that like manifests.
Yeah, and when I first started getting into like signs and symbols and all that, I would ask really simple stuff, and I think that can be a fun exercise too. Like going out into the world, I'm like, okay, if I ask a question to the guides, and I'm like, if the yes is the answer to my question, I'll be like, show me like the color, let's pick yellow for the fool, and
Mm.
then see how many things show up that are like bright yellow, and it'll be like random stuff like someone's shirt in line in front of you. But then I would get very specific about it, be like a teddy bear with like one eye, just like the most random shit. And it's really kind of crazy. So I think that can be a fun way to communicate, but just be open to the signs. But yeah, we have like a little journal exercise that we're gonna share with you guys. So this I
Well,
I want to say that I will type this part up and post it so that you guys can also have it, but I also sometimes tend to say I'll post it and then I don't, so I'm writing it down to try to remind myself. But we'll read this, read the journal prompt, but I will also post when I post this episode on my Instagram so you guys can see it written out.
cool.
I
Yeah, I'll
just know
post.
myself, I'm gonna forget. And they know me too. I always am like, I'll post these cards, and then they're like, oh, you didn't do that. Sorry, I have ADHD. Just remind me, please.
I'll try to too, like under one of my amazing videos that I make of us.
I've been loving the videos. Yeah,
They're so fun.
they're so fun. Yeah, and follow Melody on Instagram too. Last time I put all your links in the show notes, so I'll do the same. And I'll also share the question. But yeah, do you want to read our journal prompt? It's
Yeah,
in from the chat.
sounds good. All right, so our first journal prompt. So we want you to ask the question, what does connecting to your innocent, most open self feel like to you? And then just like journal about it. Like it doesn't have to be even formed sentences. You can just like write words and just free form journal, or you can create sentences too if that feels good. But yeah, just kind of really conjuring that feeling of what innocence and openness feels like for you.
Yeah, and I'll share too about innocence, and I mentioned this to you, but and I probably told this to some people who've gotten readings with me, but my guides will call this the innocence template. So when we're doing energy healing, that's really what I'm wanting to bring people back to is that innocence template. In Reiki, we call that the authentic self. Some people call that your higher self, but it's basically the fool, the beginning. We don't have all the preconceived notions of everything. from society and from our family and from experience in our life. We just have our pureness. But for me, when I first started getting into this healing world and eventually hearing the word innocence template, I think was a healing experience for me because I feel like those words had such a gross feeling to me, like innocence, purity. I feel like it has this very Christian connotation and also just American creepiness of old men being like she's pure and innocent. It's like that's like what I would think of in my mind is this kind of aversion to that word. So I think purity, innocence, those words can have a lot of spiciness for people. So I think it's also returning to the innocence of the words and the language that we use too. So I think sometimes it's like being able to recreate pathways or understandings within ourselves that those words come up for us, what we associate with it. So like for me, it was like innocence, purity, peace, like all those things. I was like, oh, what is that? So I think it took a lot of healing for me to get comfortable. And then eventually for me to get comfortable using the word God, like all these different things has been an experience for me. So I think that might bring up things for people too. So when we're talking about our innocence, we're talking about our inner child, our inner fool, like that aspect of our authentic self. So I think just coming back to the question, but like, what does connecting to your innocent, most open self feel like? So I like the idea of the most open self, like we're open to endless possibilities. So, like you're saying with the journaling, there's not pressure to, oh, I have to fill this many pages. It's just sitting here with the question. And this is something you can think about over the month. Like, who am I without these preconceived notions about myself? Who am I before these things, these ideas were put upon me, or I even put them upon myself, consciously or subconsciously? Um, but once we think about that, we have a little exercise. But I don't know if I just had to go off on my little
Yeah. Yeah,
little
I'm glad
rant.
you did. Yeah,
Like
I'm
it's
really glad
relevant.
you did. Because no, we are not talking about purity culture here.
Yeah. And I think it's just there's a lot of words within this context of divination and things like that that can also bring up things for people. So I think that is healing in itself is how can I think about this differently than what comes up first for me and like how can I let go of some of that.
Yeah. Hmm.
So yeah. So you are pure and innocent little souls.
It's true.
Yes.
We are, no matter what.
Yeah, and our soul, and I believe Melody feels the same, but I think that we are eternal, we are endless. There's probably a million different versions of us existing at once, who even knows? But our soul is really that aspect of innocence that we're connecting to is it can be an embodied version of our like literal inner child, like imagining yourself at 3 years old or something, but it's really the inside.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Our hearts. Our hearts
Yeah, totally.
are, yeah,
My little heart.
exactly. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what else that is what is also cool about the Fool being a zero, because it is that never ending circle of uh
This is the song that never ends.
yeah.
Um, yes. Yeah, and I also always think about the what is his name? The snake, the
Or
Aura
yeah, I don't know how to say it. How do you say
Aura
it?
borealis or something. But it's that circle snake thing, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yes. I like how it's the combination of the
I'm, I'm probably saying it hella wrong, but I think of that, which is, the endless creation cycle.
or oh no, I thought I had it. Never mind. Or
he's something.
yeah,
Some snake
I don't
guy.
know what we're talking about. The guy that eats his tail.
I could look it up.
Rufus? No. Anyway, I'll stop trying. I'll put it in a post.
Someone's like, I don't know this Borealis. Sorry, guys. I'm just the psychic. Melody's here for the facts. So, excuse me. Right in your ears, guys. Okay, so we're gonna have this is more of an imagination type of exercise. So, how I imagine you guys doing this at home, if you decide to do your homework, which I am telling you to do right now, is you're gonna journal and then you're gonna kind of sit with your feelings and connect with yourself. So we're gonna be you can continue with writing, or you could draw, or you could speak out loud. But basically, we're going to imagine connecting directly to our inner child, our inner fool, that innocent self that we were conjuring up before. And we are going to draw, write, or speak out loud our reflections on how they felt. So we want to kind of tap into that aspects of self and see what's in there in terms, I see it in terms of healing. Like if there's anything within our innocent self that wants to be mended and held, loved, or seen, witnessed, it doesn't necessarily need to be broken, but something that we want to be remembered. It's really about communicating with that aspect of yourself. So, and a lot of people who've done meditations with me, or maybe people have done a shamanic journey before, this is kind of that type of exercise where we want to imagine our innocent self as something outside of ourselves. So this time we're imagining ourselves as that inner child. And maybe that will look like Melody and me at 5 or 3 years old, or maybe it will be like an orb of light, like just allow it to be whatever experience, or maybe you won't see anything and that's fine. But really trying to communicate and just allow whatever they want to share with you to be heard. And some of that for some people might be words, so we'll write them down. And some people it's going to be more visual. So Melody was kind of suggesting that it would be helpful to draw. And I agree, like drawing, really trying to take that information and place it somewhere, or talking out loud, because I think sometimes when we speak out loud, that allows us to process. And for a lot of people, um, that's the easiest way to access that intuitive self is through words and through their voice rather than trying to see it, because not everyone can visualize.
Mhm.
But yeah, anything else you want to say about that?
I don't think so. I think we've got it covered as far as their exercises and yeah. I'm gonna do this too. I'll do our
Yeah,
little
me too.
journal prompts
I'm
and
excited.
yeah, me too.
Yeah, like with, journey work, shamanic journey work, like you can connect to so many different aspects, is what they call it, aspects of ourselves. So that's really what we're doing, is we're connecting with that innocent aspect, which is the energy of the card that we're wanting to embody and understand deeper. So sometimes I'm curious to see what will come up. So, of course, maybe we can share, on the next episode if anything comes up with our exercise we want to share about. But if people want to share with us, I would love to hear about anyone's reflections on the prompts.
Yeah, me too. I'd love that if anybody, yeah, wants to share.
Do your homework and report back.
Yeah, and message us back.
Yes, please. Yeah, and I think it is something that it's about. It is the exercise in it's kind of meta. The exercise in itself is really about embracing that full energy, because it's trying something different, trying something you haven't done before, but it's embracing whatever it's going to be, because we don't, with any meditation, any spiritual work, we don't want to have it only be the way that it's supposed to be. Like, it's really about holding back any of your human personality self and just allowing things to come through, and pulling that information and recording it, and however you're going to record it, because they don't always communicate the way that we can fully understand right away. So people might get messages from their inner child that is more symbolic, like, I'm just seeing an egg. What does the egg mean? Like, just write the egg, just draw the egg. And eventually maybe you can understand it, but it's also energy. So we don't always have to have a full, it's like a dream. We don't always have to fully understand it to know that it affected us in some way.
Mhm.
So we're just embracing that fullness and not over analyzing everything, because I know that you guys are will do that. You don't have to know everything. That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part.
Yeah,
So,
that's what the fool tells us. We don't have
yeah.
to know it all.
How exciting.
Mhm.
You don't have to know anything. I am just a girl. But I am just a girl. Any other thoughts, feelings before we close out our first episode 0, The Fool? Thank you for being here with us, and thank you for being here with me,
Yeah.
Melody.
Thank you for having me. That was awesome. I'm excited to continue on the journey.
Yes,
Yeah. But yeah, I think we've got it covered for now.
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. We'll put this up on Apple, Spotify, all the podcast places, and then there's a video on YouTube, links in the show notes, links for our Instagrams if you guys want to connect. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment. Smash that subscribe button.
Smash it.
And yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. We will see you next month for The Magician. And if you haven't gotten a tarot deck yet, you can still get one. I'd love to see you guys posting about your reflections, and then we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.